Today we're going to take a look at the Canon RF 24-70 f2.8 L IS USM lens, and the 24-70 of course is the staple of event and travel photographers, and I just came back from my long vacation to England with this lens and I had a lot of fun with it. And if you follow me on Instagram, you can see all my photos from my trip, and London especially was really fun. I feel like London is one of the best places in the world for street photography, and anywhere you looked, anywhere you went, there was always something interesting. And with this lens, it felt like it was so easy, it was almost cheating. Normally for travel and street photography, I prefer something a little smaller and lighter, but at least with a lens like this, you don't have to carry all that many other lenses with you in your bag, and that's the trade-off for the size and weight of this lens. And also in London, there are lots of tourists with cameras, so it's pretty easy to blend in with your camera as well. If you do want something a little smaller and lighter, there's also the 24-105 f4, and for most people who are not professional event photographers, I would still recommend this lens over the 24-70 because, well, the 24-70 is about 2.5 times more expensive than this. And yes, you get the slightly bigger aperture, but with the 24-105, you get the additional 35mm of focal length, and you're really not going to see the whole lot of difference in image quality. And with most modern full-frame cameras, the ISO performance difference between f2.8 and f4 isn't going to be that dramatic. And of course, if you're a professional who shoots a lot in dark environments or at venues where you're not allowed to use flash, then you need all the help you can get. And if you're a professional, you know what you need. But for most people, I think the 24-105 will be just fine. Also, when you're shooting portraits, I think I prefer the images that I got from the 24-105 at 105mm at f4 over the images that I got with the 24-70 at 70mm at f2.8 because of the compression. So if you're on a budget, I think the 24-105 will definitely get your money's worth, and with the leftover money, you can literally buy yourself an EOS RP and another lens, so that's a great value there. But if you're a professional who knows that you need the 24-70 f2.8, and if you're going to be pairing this up with like a 70-200, then obviously you don't need the additional focal length, so the choice is completely yours. What is also interesting though is that even though this lens costs 2.5 times more than the 24-105, if you spend a little more money, like when I say a little more money, maybe about $700, you can also get the 28-70 f2 lens. So if you really need that fast zoom, then, and if you don't mind the additional weight and size, then that's also a great option as well. The size and weight of this lens is about the same as the 15-35 that I reviewed a couple of weeks ago, and it's actually a little bit heavier at just over 900 grams, so it's about 60 or 70 grams heavier than the 15-35, but when they were attached to my camera, I couldn't really feel the difference. And the design of the lenses are also about the same, except that on the 24-70 there's a zoom lock, and unlike on the 15-35, the lens extends to the longest point at its longest focal length. It was the opposite on the 15-35. It rained pretty much the entire time I was in England, so quite unintentionally, it was a great time for me to test the weather sealing of this lens. And I'm happy to say the lens performed perfectly well. And based on my experience, most lenses perform okay in the rain, but when you walk in and out of buildings because of the humidity and the heat, sometimes the insides of the lenses can get quite fogged up, and sometimes you have to wait for hours or sometimes a few days for them to completely dry out. But that never happened with this lens, so I was very happy with that. Overall, just like the 15-35, everything about the lens is great. It's sharp, its autofocus works well, the stabilization is great, but pretty much the only downsides are the price, size, and weight. The size and weight, I think you can learn to live with it, but the price, only you can answer if it's worth it for your needs, because everyone's needs and budgets are different. With most RF mount lenses right now, I think the autofocus capabilities are more bottlenecked by the cameras than the lenses themselves. So with every firmware updates and as Canon comes out with more RF mounted cameras, I think things will only get better. While shooting on the streets, autofocus and tracking can be more unpredictable than shooting in a controlled environment, but the camera and the lens always performed as expected and never gave me any issues. Some of you also asked asked me if you should get the 24-70 or the 15-35, and I think they're just two different lenses, and it's really up to the way you shoot and what you shoot. The wider focal length of the 15-35 can be really fun to use if you shoot a lot of architecture or landscapes, because the difference between the 15mm and 24mm is actually pretty huge. But if you want more general type of lens that can do everything, the 24-70 might be the better option for you. And if you can only carry one lens and you want to shoot something wider, you can always shoot multiple shots and stitch them all together, unless you're shooting people at an event. But in terms of the image quality or performance, both lenses are great. You just have to figure out what focal lengths you want. So that's it for me today. Thank you for watching, and I would like to take this moment to thank B&H for making this video possible and letting me provide you this unbiased review for free. And if you are interested in purchasing one of these lenses, check out B&H at the link down below. And I thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.